Hello learners, I am Dr. Subodh Kesharwani, working with Indira Gandhi National Open University. The topic which I am going to talk today is measurement and scaling. Sir, excuse me, screen. The topic which I am going to talk today is measurement and scaling, and what we have observed that this is a very contemporary topic as far as research is concerned, as far as statistics is concerned. So we have already talked in our preceding sessions about sampling and non-random sampling, and various kinds of statistical analysis was there. So the today's session revolves around what exactly the measurement of scaling technique is. So when we go more into the depth of these techniques, I think the measurement is very important because there are certain modes, there are certain parameters which need to be explored, which need to be taken care. So anyway, prior to going into the depth of the topic, I just want to throw a light what exactly we have recapitulated in our previous sessions and what we are going to cover today. So if we see what exactly the scaling is, I think that is something which is going to make clear about how the measurement is going to be scaled and things are going to be controlled when we are talking in terms of statistics, because sampling, and because we have a population, we have a universe, and from that we take a lot of sample, and when we take a sample, certain scaling, certain measurement need to be taken care. So when we talk about the scaling, I think why do we need scaling? Because often we have data sets, and these data sets are quite gigantic in nature, and they are in quite big numbers. So one column can be kilograms, while other column can be centimeters. So there could not be any homogeneity, and a lot of heterogeneity is there. So to maintain the homogeneity, I think the scaling is quite pivotal and quite important into it. Furthermore, we can have columns like income, which can range from 20,000 to 1 lakh, and even more. There are age columns which can range from 0 to 100 at most. So if we take the income as a base with vis-a-vis the age, I think it could be 1,000 times larger to that. So how we are going to scale, how we are going to evaluate or measure, that is more important. So that is the thing. The scaling is very important, and how we are going to do that, because there are certain questions which comes in our mind, that how can we sure that model treats both these variables equally. When we feed these features to the model, as is there is every chance that the income will influence the results, and more in due in the large value, because when the value becomes larger, when the population or universe is more, I think somewhere the lackness is there. So what we observe that the biggest importance to bridge the gap between the age and income, or the different kind of units we have, the scaling is very important. So anyway, I think prior to going into the depth of this topic, as far as the measurement is concerned, as far as the scaling is concerned, I think we have to recapitulate ourselves what we have done in our preceding sessions. This is the very first block of the course called Research Methodology in Statistical Analysis, and we have elaborately covered somewhere around 13 to 14 lectures, which revolves around the research and data collections, and very elaborately talks about the business research, how the research is going to be useful, which is not confined to business only, but taking care about the other aspects. Research is something which is a very common ingredients as far as the academics are concerned, as far as the corporate worlds are concerned. So this basic research is going to talk about all those aspects. Then you have a research plan, and when we are talking about the research plan is not like that you can plan your research for the particular time frame, and maybe if you want to accomplish the task in 3 years, I think the planning should be there. But inside this long-term planning, you have certain short-term planning. So these short-term planning can work as a filler, and whenever you require, you can use this think tank approach and work on this direction. So anyway, then we have a collection of data, and we have observed in our preceding sessions that how the primary data and how the secondary data and how the data collection methodology is very important. So then the sampling was there, and in sampling, we have very elaborately talked about the random sample, the non-random sample, or the probability sampling or non-probability sampling. So we have seen that how there are certain samples which are very important when you are going to cater the population and extract the information from there. So from there, when you start taking the sample from the bigger part of the globe, I think somewhere the error comes. So statistical errors or the sampling errors was also very elaborately taken care. And then the final unit, final chapter of this particular block, the very first block, talks about the measurement and scaling techniques. So we are here to just concentrate on this measurement and scaling techniques. And the first session, the part one of this particular unit is going to emphasize on what exactly the measurement is. And then once we are acquainted with the term called measurement, what are the the ingredients which are part and parcel of the management, then we can switch over into the scaling techniques. So anyway, I think this is the thing which need to be taken care, and there are certain objectives. When you are going to study this unit, I think the first objective is that it's explain the concepts of measurement and scaling, because measurement and scaling is somewhat the very interrelated word. And when you are going to measure anything, you require certain scales. It could be the parameters by which you are going to measure the thing. So we will talk about all those things in a more elaborative manner and discuss 4 levels of measurement scales. So there are generally 4 levels of measurement scales: ratio, ordinal, nominal. So we will throw a light on that also and classify, discuss different scaling techniques. There are certain scaling techniques, and we are going to throw a light on that. And then finally, the appropriate attitude measurement scale for the research problem, because we in our preceding sessions we have talked about the research plan, we have talked about the research problems, and there are certain problems which are man created, and there are certain problems which are universal truth kind of. So you have to explore, you have to find out that which problems you can able to rectify, or you can able to eradicate, or you can able to resolve. And there are certain problems which are not in a position to resolve at that juncture. So in that case, what you are going to do, you are going to eliminate all those things. So that need to be done in a very systematic manner and very elaborative manner. And finally, the scaling techniques are there, and when we go more into the depth of the scaling techniques, we will see that the intention is very clear. Is a method, is a placing respondents in continuation of gradual change in the pre-assigned values. There are values which are there, and these assigned values are pre-assigned values are changing with the change of time. So how you are going to do? I think we will take some good examples which are going to defend this particular theme. And we see that what we have observed in our preceding sessions, that data is something which is very important aspect as far as the garbage in garbage out is concerned, or the input and output analysis is concerned. We take input as a raw data and then convert into a information or in a knowledge or in a wisdom through certain methodologies, and these methodologies is nothing but the information which is going to be useful. So the data which is raw in nature, or the real time data which is raw in nature, is going to be a finished product when you are going to use it for the particular purpose. So, and this is the the very good example where the data which you take as raw is gradually changing with the change of time. The consumer behavior, the consumer behavior vis-a-vis the e-commerce portal, or the taking care of the web series or reviewing the web series is gradually changing. So how you are going to revamp the scaling techniques, how you are going to use the certain techniques which is not confined or designed for the particular purpose. So there should not be any tailor-made approach. It should be like that, or there must not be any what we can say as set rules. You have to customize the thing, you have to do the things in that manner. So symbols and number based on the features of a particular object as per the defined rules. So what we have observed that the measurement is a very important parameter, and when you're talking about the measurement means assigning numbers or other symbols to characteristics of objects according to certain pre-specified rules. There are certain the specified rules, there are certain thumb rules while going for the measuring the any units or any variables. So if you are not adhere to the pre-specified rules, I think somewhere you are lacking. So this measurement is working as a driving force when you are going to talk about this particular aspect. So one-to-one correspondence between the numbers and the characteristics being measured. And the rules for assigning numbers should be standardized and applied uniformly, and that is there. It should not be like that. There must be set of standard rules. Like if you are taking kilometer as a base, so then in that case you are going to take kilometer only, not meter or centimeter. So there must be some uniformity and there must be some homogeneity. So it's not like that in one unit you are taking centimeter or inches as a base, you are taking meter as a base. So that measurement criteria need to be accepted universally, and it should be homogeneity designed or taken care. So and applied uniformly. It should not like that. There must be some homogeneity. Apple should be compared with apple only, and it should not be compared with other aspect. Though both are, or banana should not be there. So apple is a different thing, banana is a different thing. So if you are going to calculate, I think there must be certain the parameters which can uniformly apply or define. So rule must not change over objects or time. So with the change of time, it's not like that you can change your objects or you can change certain time, because if you are going to twist these units or the variables, I think there is more chances that the sampling error will come, or or the result which you are expecting you are not going to get. So while measuring or while doing all those things, I think this is the point which need to be taken care, and this is a very important aspect when you are going to talk about the measurement. One is nominal, other is ordinal, then interval, and then ratio scale. So these the four what we can say, the ratio data, interval data, ordinal data, and nominal data is very important. If you see this particular image, I think this image is quite explanatory, because nominal is starting from lower level of measurement, whereas ratio is talking about the higher level of measurement. So you see from the circle itself, the bigger circle is the ratio, then inside it you have an interval, then you have ordinal, and then finally you have the nominal. So what I mean to say is that nominal scale is, or nominal data or the nominal scale is nothing but a lowest level of measurement, whereas ratio is the highest level of measurement. So when you are going to talk about the levels of measurement in a more elaborative manner, I think these are considered as scales of measurement, and nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio are generally the four important ingredients which we usually do. So if you see, the nominal is nothing but a named variables, whereas ordinal is named plus ordered variables. We are going to elaborately talk about these four terms in a more elaborative manner in this coming slides. So, and if you are going to talk about the interval, I think it's a name plus ordered proportionate interval between variables. And when you are going to talk about the ratio, it's name plus order plus proportionate plus interval between the variables, and can accommodate absolute zero also. So what I mean to say, that when you are going to talk about this particular measurement, I think we have to adhere to these four scales of measurement. And if you see these four scales of measurement, if you see the data labeled meaningful order, measurable difference, true, zero, these are the ingredients which are considered to be the comparative view between the four. And when you are labeled, nominal is all the data are labeled, either it could be nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio. Meaningful order, if you are talking about, the ordinal have that, interval and ratio have that, but nominal is lacking with. So measurable difference is interval and ratio having, true, zero starting point is in ratio only. This we have already discussed in our preceding slides. So I think if you are going and elaborately more talking about this particular four terms, which are nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio, you see that when we are using the primary scales number used to, I think, identifying, classifying the object is nominal, indicate relative position is ordinal, indicate difference is interval, indicate ratio is ratio. So when you are going to talk about the nominal, I think the permissible statistics is there, and this permissible statistics is percentages mode, then common example, and marketing example. So brand number, gender classification, social security number, numbering of players, these are the ingredients which are come under the ambit of nominal. And if you are going to talk about the ordinal, this is permissible statistics. Then percentile median is there. In measure of center tendency, we have seen that how we are going to calculate the average with the help of mean, median, and mode, and there are other ways of doing that. So when we are going to talk about the statistical analysis, I think percentile median is one of the important example of ordinal, and common example is quality rankings or rankings of a team. So market position or social class is one of the another example of percentile median. And when you are going to talk about the interval, I think mean, range, and standard deviation is there, and common example is temperature, Fahrenheit, Celsius, whereas marketing examples are attitude option. So, and when you're going to calculate the ratio, I think length and weight is a common example, and marketing example is sales and market shares. So anyway, I think we are going to take some very good real life scenario or example which can give the glimpse, which can give the clear glimpse about what exactly the primary scale is. Prior to going into the depth of this, if we will just throw a light on, elaborately talk about these four terms. I think the nominal scale, the ordinal scale, interval scale, or ratio scale. So we start with the nominal scale in a chronological manner, and we have seen that the circle is also talking about that in the smaller minimum part is the nominal scale is, then you have interval, then you have ordinal, then you have interval, and then you have ratio. So nominal scales are adopted for non-qualitative, non-quantitative thing containing no numerical implications, labeling variables which are unique and different from one another. So types of nominal scales are dichotomous, a nominal scale that has only two labels. That is, when you are calculating, I think you have a dichotomous model, that is, the example is yes and no. So two labels are there, and these and nominal with order, when you are talking about, the labels are a nominal scale arranged in an ascending or descending order is termed as nominal, with order, for example, excellent, good, average, poor, worst. So these are the thing which is there, and there's various kinds of scales. If you talk about the Likert scale is there, if you talk about the different scales, we will definitely talk about, and we will see how these the scales are going to be used when you are going to talk about. So nominal without order is such nominal scale which has no sequence is called nominal without order. For example, black or white. So either you can go for there's no chronology behind it. You can take black as a base, you can take white as a base. So ordinal scale is something which is a second step as far as the measurement is concerned, or level of measurement is concerned, or level and scale of measurement is concerned. So ordinal scale functions on the concepts of the relative positions of the objects or labels based on the individual choice of preference. For example, e-commerce website we have, and we see that when anybody buy any product, and customer generally give the review in the review section. So where the buyer rate the listed product according to their buying experience, or when the product delivered at our home address, and it is delivered by the logistic guy, the logistic guy always communicate to us that please rate us, what exact how you are feeling about the service which we have given. So it starts with the 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star. So 5-star is excellent, 4-star is good, 3-star is average, 2-star is poor, and 1-star is worst. So and these ratings are playing a very important role, and these are the link with their increments, with their promotions, and sometimes if the customer gives the reviews, I think somewhere it is directly going to hit the sale or the sale and purchase of the product. So anyway, interval scale is there, and interval scale is also called a cardinal scale, which is the numerical labeling with the same difference among the consecutive measurement units. With the help of these scaling techniques, researchers can obtain a better comparison between the objects. So what we have observed that a survey conducted by an automobile company, if any survey conducted by the automobile giant, automobile industry, number of vehicles owned by the people living in a particular area, I think that could be somewhere who can be in a prospective customers in future. So it adopted the interval scaling technique for the purpose and provided unit as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or in the scale mentioned above, every unit has the same difference, that is whether it is between 2 and 3 or between 4 and 5. So this interval scale is not hitting particularly, but varies, like people under the age bracket of 18 to 24 years, or the 25 to 30 years. So this could be the interval scale model. So now the other model is, which is very important, that is ratio scale, which is a complete a bigger part as far as the scaling is concerned, and one of the most superior measurement technique, because it takes into consideration the entire circle. I think we have very comparatively view about that what is the difference between the ratio and nominal. Nominal is a very small circle, and it could be the part of the ratio scale, but ratio scale is quite bigger, and under it you find out the nominal is there, the ordinal is there, or the interval is there. So This ratio scale is an abstract number system. It allows measurement at proper intervals, order categorization at distance, and with added properly originating from a fixed 0 point. So from 0 point it is there. So the example is the health product manufacturing company survey to identify the level of obesity in a particular locality, and from that they have taken the certain base. So less than 40 kilograms, 40 to 59 kilograms, 60 to 79 kilograms, 80 to 90 kilograms, and then 100 to 119 and 120 kilograms and more. So this is considered to be the ratio scale. Now this is a very important ingredient, because when you are going to talk about the measurement or scaling, I think we have to see in a very elaborative manner that this measurement is a very important technique, and if you are going to put some error into it, or not going to calculate or measure the things in a proper manner, I think you get a very wrong result. So the data collection methodology believes in the garbage in, garbage out philosophy, that whatever the input you are going to put, in the same manner you are going to get the output. So if you see the difference between this nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio vis-a-vis the basic characteristics, common example, marketing example, or permissible statistics, I think when we are in the advanced stage of our discussion, I think when we are going to talk about the research methodology, when you are going to talk about certain tests which are going to play a very important role, I think there we can more easily talk about the nominal, ordinal, interval or ratio. And when you are going to talk about the nominal, I think number, identify and classify objects. Social security numbers, numbering of football players, this is a common example, and marketing example is brand numbers, store types. Permissible statistics is descriptive or inferential. When we are talking about the descriptive statistics, we are talking about use of the measure of center tendency, either the average we have, mean, median and mode, which could be the stereotype way of calculating the statistics or doing the statistics, and applied through the descriptive statistics model. And when you are going to talk about the nominal inferential statistics, you are going to use the t-test, you are going to use the ANOVA test or chi-square test or binomial test. So we will have a dedicated sessions which usually talks about what is chi-test, what is binomial test, what is the other test, t-test, ANOVA test. And when you are going to talk about ordinal, so this nominal scale is more emphasized on the chi-square test or binomial test as far as the inferential statistics is concerned. And when you are going to talk about the ordinal, numbers indicate the relative positions of objects, but not the magnitude of the difference between them. This is one of the basic characteristics of the ordinal, and the common example is quality rankings of the team in a tournament. And when you are going to talk about the marketing examples, it could be preference, ranking, market position, social class. So what I mean to say that when you are going to talk about the ordinal, I think the permissible statistics or the differential descriptive statistics which you are going to use is the percentile or median. So still you see we are in the format of using the descriptive statistics, and then and the inferential is, as far as the inferential statistics is concerned, it is going to talk about a rank order, correlation, Friedman or ANOVA test. So we will take some very good example, I think, in a coming sessions when we are going to talk about the descriptive statistics or inferential statistics. We will see how this this permissible statistics is going to play a very important role as far as the measurement is concerned, as far as the scaling is concerned. So that is very important. Now the third scale, which is one of the foremost ingredients as far as this primary scale is concerned, is the interval, because it's not directly hitting, but there are certain intervals. The example which I have quoted about the people who are in the age bracket of 20 to 30 years or 30 to 40 years, 40 to 50 years. So certain intervals are need to be taken. So differences between the objects, and common example is temperature, Fahrenheit, and marketing example is attitude or opinions or indexing, what we used to do. When we are going to talk about this particular term called indexing, we will definitely throw a light on that. And this here we are going to use this range, mean and standard, because mean standard is something which is part of the standard deviation, and we are going to use it. Now the biggest challenge is that when we are going to use the descriptive statistics, and when we go more into the depth of descriptive statistics, we see that what is basically the outlier is. So outlier, in my preceding session I have talked about, when we go and take the stereotype averages, I think there are 10 numbers and we are going to take an average. The very thumb rule model is that you can add all those numbers, take the total of that and divide it by 10. Now the challenge is that if in that variable lot of numbers are 5, 6, 7, 8 and one number is 40 or one number is 50. Now when you take the average of all those, the average becomes differ, because the majority of number are, very have got a very less range, that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10. Whereas the one number which is quite deviating from others, that is considered to be 45 or 50. Now the biggest challenge is what? The biggest challenge is that when you take an average, the average is not lying nearby to the smallest number, but somewhat differs. It could be 25 or 30. Now this had given you a wrong report. So when you are getting a wrong report, when you are getting wrong report due to outlier, that is where the measure of center tendency fails. And when measure of center tendency fails, you have no choice to switch over into standard deviation or the measure of dispersion. So this interval is going to talk about the descriptive statistics, which emphasize on range, mean and standard, whereas the inferential statistics is product movement. Now the biggest challenge, the fourth one is there, because the ratio talks about 0 points is fixed, ratio of scales values can be compared, and the common example is length of weight, which is a very standard way of doing the things. Now, and marketing example is age, sales, income, cost. And now here what we are going to do, we are using the geometric mean or harmonic mean. Now this is another way of using the descriptive statistics. And then you have if you are going to talk about the inferential statistics, you are using the coefficient of variation. So definitely we are going to talk about all those things as far as the correlation is concerned, as far as the coefficient of correlation is concerned, or variation is concerned, or standard deviation is concerned, or measure of center tendency is concerned, because this is very important to build the concept of statistics is concerned, because this particular course not only talks about the research methodology, but somewhere it talks about the statistical analysis and have an intermingle approach. So you are talking about the research methodology, you're talking about the statistical analysis, and you're going to apply. So the genesis behind this particular course is not to talk about, but try to execute or try to implement this model. So what we have observed, that we are using this phenomena to get it more strengthened. Now there are other criteria for good measurement, that is reliability, validity and sensitivity, which is considered to be the good measurement. And when you are going to talk about the reliability is the degree to which measurements are devoid of error. And we have seen in the sampling errors, in the statistical error, there are a lot of marginal errors are there, or the intervals are there. So how we are going to come out from that? So this reliability is going to play a very important role, and ordinal measures always yield the same order, interval measurement always yield the same order and same distance between the measured items. So this is, and when you're going to talk about the validity is the ability of scale or measuring instrument to measure what is intended to measure. Example given: absenteeism for work, a valid measure of job satisfaction, or there are other influence like flu epidemic, which is keeping employees from work. So we have seen that in the present scenario, when COVID was there, when Corona was going on, in this pandemic stage, lockdown were there, but some of the segments, some of the sectors which were affected by the work format, but on the other hand, some of the industries boomed like nothing, like the online delivery or the IT industry. It had flourished a lot. So what I mean to say, this validity is the ability of scale of measuring the instrument to measure what is intended to measure. And the very good example is the pandemic example or the absenteeism example. Now there is certain differentiation between the reliability and validity. The reliability talks about the test and retest, internal consistency, alternative forms, and validity talks about the content, criteria, construct, convergent validity, discriminant validity, and nomological validity. So when we are talking more about all these terms, because while going into the depth of the statistics, I think the good part is that we all should aware with or acquaint with the terms which are there, because the whole statistics talks about the terminology and talks about the terms which have certain purpose, which have certain intentions, and are designed or meant for the particular job. So if you are going to eliminate this, this model, I think somewhere you are lack with that. So anyway, sensitivity is something. The sensitivity of the test, also called the true positive rate, is defined as the proportion of the people with the disease who will have positive results. So in other words, highly sensitive test is one that correctly identifies with this. So commonly used assess the validity of test, and specificity is that. Now we have already talked about this particular session which was revolving around the measurement, and since the chapter of this particular course is talking about the measurement and scaling technique, so the basic part, the first part we have covered, and the second part is scaling technique, which is bifurcated into comparative scales and non-comparative scales. In comparative scales, you have got paired comparison, constant sum, rank order, Q sort, and then non-comparative is again bifurcated into continuous rating scale and itemized rating scale. Likert scale is one of the very prominent scale which is using as far as the research is concerned, and we try to have the more elaborative session as far as the Likert is concerned, as far as the scaling is concerned, because it talks about the 3-point scale or 5-point. It starts with a 5-point scale, and somewhere it's the 7-point scale is also going to be used. So why we are using this 5-point scale, and what is the intention behind that, and what is the the USP of Likert scale, and why when we are talking about the scaling, we are basically talking about the Likert scale, and what is the use of Likert scale, that we are going to take in our next session, which are considered to be the part 2 of scaling techniques. And this, if we talk more about the scaling techniques, I think it is comparative scales and non-comparative scales. Comparative scales involves the direct comparison of stimulus objects. Comparative scale data must be interpreted in relative terms and have only ordinal or rank order properties. We have already seen that how we have taken nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio, and how this comparative scale are just emphasizing on the ordinal part. And in non-comparative scale, each object is scaled independently of the others in the stimulus set, and the results data are generally assumed to be the interval or ratio scale. So this non-comparative scale is scaling emphasized on the interval or ratio scale, and we have already distinguished between the interval, ratio and this ordinal and nominal. So when we have these kind of terminologies or the jargons in our mind, I think as far as scaling is concerned, this is going to be quite useful when you are building the block. So anyway, I think we have accomplished the first part of this particular course, particular chapter, that is measurement and scaling techniques, which was purely talking about the measurement. And measurement is very important because it can provide you a platform to homogeneously calculate. So if you are not homogeneous in as far as the calculation is concerned, somewhere there must be a gap, and you are not going to get the result what you are expecting. So when we have and going to talk about the scaling in a more elaborative manner, I think we will cover those aspects, and it's a good part from the learner end, that they can recapitulate our the preceding sessions, because preceding sessions was talking about the curtain result to many terms which are quite useful, like research, or research plan, research design, sampling, hypothesis, or the terms which are coming. So if you are acquainted with the terminologies, I think when we talk about the statistics, when we talk about the mathematics or the algorithm used in statistics or research methodology, we are basically accumulating the past used terms. So every terminologies, every the statements have got a weightage, and when you are building a block, when you're doing the research, I think it's just a compilation of, it's a an integration of what exactly the terms which we have talked in our preceding session. So it would be quite good for the learners if they are acquainted with themselves with all these terms, because these terms are repeatedly used when we are coming up. So in the next block, when we move to the next block, because we are on the verge of completion of this particular block, and when we move after third or fourth block, you find out the more analytical approach comes, and we believe in execution, we believe in integrating the things or interpreting the things. So in the second blocks, first block talks about the the evaluation part or exploration part, the second block talks about the implementation, and third block talks about the execution. So that is the reason we talk about the data in the beginning stage, then data analysis is there, then research methodology is there, and then data interpretation is there, how you are going to interpret the data, because the beauty of any good researcher is that how they are going to twist the data, how they are going to extract the data, and how to get the best out of that. That is more important. So anyway, we will wind up this session, and in coming sessions we are going to talk more about something which can build the concept of the statistics and the research methodology. Thank you very much.